Alright, so we have a bit of a situation right now when it comes to the likeness of our good buddy, Jim Cry and Ryan. Okay, so Microsoft made a big acquisition purchase, well, trying to get the deal to go through, that started back in early January of this year, and this is the biggest purchase in gaming history of nearly $68.7 billion, dollars, almost $70 billion. Dollars. Like, that's insane. An insane amount of money to purchase acquisition of, a company or whatever. So, and if you remember back in late 2020, Microsoft did the same thing with Bethesda, but instead it was only for $7.5 billion. Dollars. That was still quite a lot. But now when you compare, that's like 6 times that, that's a big, big number. And it's not millions, it's billions of dollars. So, Jim Ryan, okay, our head CEO for PlayStation, is basically not too happy about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard because it just makes him, it makes it to where possibly Call of Duty is not going to be on the PlayStation platform for much longer. Even though I can almost like guarantee you that Microsoft most likely, and they've stated this right when the acquisition was just beginning of the year. Microsoft has stated that future Activision titles will still remain on other platforms like the PlayStation and like the Nintendo Switch. And honestly, it's a smart move because when you really think about it, look at Minecraft. Look how much money Microsoft is making by Minecraft, and you got Minecraft on PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and PC, and freaking mobile devices. You got Minecraft pretty much on every platform out there, whether it be mobile, console, or PC experience. And it's bringing Microsoft a bunches of money because every time that game sells on whatever platform, Microsoft gets a cut of that. So Microsoft is making billions of dollars just by selling that game on every platform that it is. So honestly, like, Microsoft would be stupid to basically not allow Call of Duty or, future titles like, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and, the Tony Hawk skateboard games that we just got with Tony's Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 that they redone a couple years ago, and it was last month's free games, free PlayStation Plus games, I should say, on the PlayStation 4, and you got both the PS4 and PS5 versions. So, honestly, like, Microsoft's not going to, like, discontinue, like, games on other platforms. Like, because, especially with it being PlayStation and Nintendo, they see that there's a large player base on both the PlayStation platform and the Nintendo Switch platform, especially the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is Nintendo's number one most best-selling home console, handheld console, I should say, too, ever made. And it has literally sold almost 120 million units literally since launch. And the Nintendo Switch has been out for only 5.5 years. And that's pretty impressive for that amount of time. And it's past 100 million units. Microsoft would be stupid enough to not allow, games that can come on the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation and whatever on other platforms because, it would help people, it would bring their console sales up, but in the long run, profits, it's going to make them more money at the end because, they're going to get a cut of that pie every time it sells, whether if it's on PlayStation or Nintendo Switch. So, Jim Ryan, okay, made a statement over to Phil Spencer about, the whole acquisition and about Call of Duty possibly not maintaining on PlayStation platforms after a certain time. And he's basically mad because of the fact that after Activision and Sony's agreement deal ends by late 2024, that there's only going to be 3 more years for Call of Duty being on PlayStation, and he is just really worried because of his fans. Well, you know something, Jim Ryan, I'm going to literally say this too. Like, I have always played PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo platforms. I played all 3. And honestly, Jim Ryan, you have really amazing killer exclusives. And why the heck are you so worried about, games losing off of your platform from other, big console developers like Microsoft and like Nintendo? If you're so concerned about losing third-party games like that, how about you get out of the exclusive business and actually make like 90% of your games everywhere to play? If you're so concerned about losing Call of Duty or losing a certain game franchise because of exclusivity deal, then how about you get out of the exclusive business then and start making games multi-platform, whether if they're multiplayer or single-player experience? How about you do that, Jim Ryan, if you're so concerned about losing a game franchise because of another company buying them? And I totally get another way too, and it doesn't make any sense as well because, Sony did buy Bungie and fully owns Bungie, that is behind the Destiny game series, and they have stated that Destiny is still going to remain public and also, everywhere, and it's still going to remain on Xbox and whatever else that it's for in PC. They're not just going to completely ditch it out at some point and all that. They have stated that Destiny is still going to be supported, and cross-play and cross-progression will still remain on all platforms for that game. So this is kind of like where, it would be stupid if Microsoft did do this, but Jim Ryan's just crying out of his freaking mind over this for absolutely no reason, and he's worried about it for really nothing. Like, Call of Duty, I can almost guarantee you, because of how big that game is and how popular that game is, Microsoft would be stupid to basically only put it on one platform or 2 platforms like Xbox and PC. Now, because if you really think about it, look at it like this. Okay, yeah, there may not be as many, people, playing on Xbox. So in the long run, Microsoft's not going to be making as much money because there's not as many people on the Xbox. There's not as many diehard fans out there that they're going to be able to sell it to. While keeping it on PlayStation and Nintendo and whatever else games are for, okay, there's a huge player base that likes the games. So if they keep that large player base, they're going to make the most money because every time it sells, whether if it's not on their platform, whether if it's on PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch, it's going to give them money. They're going to get a cut of that pie every time that game sells. So really, when you look at it in a perspective way, it's definitely a smart business move to keep the games on other platforms. And Microsoft has showed us that that is the kind of business that they are into compared to Sony. Sony does not give a crap about crossplay because if you remember the whole debacle from freaking back in 2018 about Sony, denying about crossplay because if you want to play with friends on PlayStation, you're gonna have to buy a PlayStation if you want to play with. And it was the most greediest way I have ever seen in my life. And Microsoft has given and has shown that they care about all kinds of stuff like that. Like, I understand they took Bethesda games and they made Bethesda games only exclusive for Xbox and PC, but Bethesda games are not as popular as games like Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, and especially Call of Duty. So they would be stupid enough to especially not allow Call of Duty on other platforms, as big as that game is and as millions of copies as that game sold. And when they really think about it, with which I also get where Jim Ryan's comment and, whatever coming from, and it's because Call of Duty has sold more on PlayStation than anywhere else. So really, Microsoft would be screwing themselves in the foot if they made the game only for Xbox and PC, like straight up, because Call of Duty has sold more copies on PlayStation than all of the other console brands out there, at least from the past, few Call of Duties that we had, such as, World War II, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, and freaking Black Ops Cold War, and the list just goes on. So, it would be a really dumb move, but seriously, Jim Ryan, you're seriously crying to Microsoft because you're worried about Call of Duty possibly not being available on your platform. And I totally understand, like I mentioned, I have liked Xbox, and I like PlayStation, and I love Nintendo. I love all three of the consoles, and I get games on all three of them. I buy Call of Duty on both Xbox and PlayStation because I like to experience it on both platforms, and I like to get the Xbox achievements and the PlayStation trophies, especially for beating, the campaigns of Call of Duty, which we beat Black Ops Cold War's campaign on the PS5 and our Xbox Series X, as well as Call of Duty Vanguard. And it's nice to be able to get the trophies and get the achievements. So, honestly, Jim, if you're so concerned about losing games, especially big third-party games like that, maybe you should think about what you're doing with PlayStation. Maybe you should think a smarter way instead of being anti-consumer and trying to freaking grab every one of your audience's wallets and making them dry by charging them a $10 upgrade for this game that's cross progression and that's cross compatibility from console like PlayStation 4 to PS5. If you would possibly think about what you're doing, Jim Ryan, and actually get out of the exclusivity business deal here, maybe you wouldn't be worried about something like this. But because you're too busy worried about exclusives and you're too busy worried about, your platform, and I totally understand about worried about your platform because that is business. That's what you're supposed to do. But if you're so busy, if you're so anti-consumer about charging everybody from their pocket in their bank and thinking that, you got to pay, $10 if you want the PlayStation 5 version of the game, even though you own the game on the PlayStation 4, and you don't get a free upgrade, and the whole debacle from, Horizon Forbidden West, where you announced that would be a free upgrade for the PlayStation 5 once you bought the PS4 version at that time, and then the game gets closer and you're like, oh no, you have to pay $10 an upgrade after we announced a free upgrade. So sorry, no, we have to take some more money from you. What kind of shit is that? That is so disrespectful to your audience. And you got Microsoft, and I totally get it. Microsoft doesn't have, as many exclusives as what PlayStation has, but it still is the same thing. Okay, Microsoft might only have a select few less exclusives than PlayStation, but Microsoft has said that if you buy the game and that you own it on Xbox One or Xbox One X, you will definitely get the Series S and Series X version for literally free. and it's still the main standard $60 price tag. It is not $70, and it's not you pay $70 and then only a select couple games. Oh, yeah, you have to pay more because we want more money, da-da-da. No. And then it's even better with Xbox Game Pass. So if you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber on Xbox One and you got the Xbox Series X within a month or so later, you're going to get the next gen version because it's for free. And you're paying the monthly subscription to have access to that game. And then once you go to the next platform, you get all the upgrades for all the games that were from the Xbox One that are on the Xbox Series X. So, Jim Ryan, I think you better think about something here, because if you are so concerned about all of this and about losing a game franchise like that because Microsoft is trying to, be in a competition here to give you competition, then how about you get out of the exclusive deal business here and stop freaking charging, your gamers a upgrade fee just because they got the next gen console, and actually think about, getting out of the exclusive business in the first place. And if you're so concerned about losing games that are third party and all that, then, how about show Microsoft on how you could be pro-consumer and pro-friendly consumer by, letting games on every platform. Now, not every game, I'm actually meaning to say, but at least a majority of your games. Yeah, have a select few games be exclusive to your platform, because otherwise that definitely won't sell your console. But, instead of having like over 100 different titles be exclusive only on your platform, how about you cut it down to like a select few and do most of your games on multi-platform? And at the long run, you will be making a lot more money, because everybody else that's on, the Xbox, the Nintendo Switch, on PC and whatever, there's going to be a large, huge amount of people that's going to want to try that game. And when you have it on other platforms, well, you end up making the most money in the long run, because every time that game sells, whether if it's on a different platform, you are definitely going to get a cut of that money, because you own that IP and you own that company that made that game, or you own the servers for that game. Like, you're going to get a cut of the pie every time that it sells, even if it's not just on your console platform. So, Jim Ryan, like, I'm sorry to literally say this, but how about you think about your fans and not about the freaking money profits and being money hungry over, Xbox and all that, especially by like saying, oh yeah, the PlayStation 5 in most regions is going to be, more dollars, when you got your competition from Microsoft and Nintendo both announcing that their consoles is going to remain the same price in every region. And you're the only one that has charged more for your console in all of them select regions. So, yeah, if you honestly would worry about your audience and your fan base, Jim Ryan, and not about the profits, maybe something good would happen. But instead, you're starting to show that you don't care about gamers, you don't care about backwards compatibility of people being able to play their old games that they own, that we have purchased, like Microsoft is doing, and even Nintendo to an extent is, bringing out some old games from their old consoles, especially on their online, subscription thing. So you're the one that's behind Microsoft and Nintendo. Now I get it, Nintendo's, games like from the N64 and whatever have not been the greatest, but, they at least put them on there so people can play them and relive their memories. Where are you, Sony? Well, you can't manually play a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 2 game or a PlayStation 1 game on either the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. So, this anti-consumer business, Jim Ryan, is what's causing this to happen. If you would be friendly to your consumers and friendly to your audience and do what they want, this wouldn't happen, Jim Ryan. people like Microsoft would not be buying these big companies to be, competitive and to be in a competition because of your success, and then now all of a sudden you becoming greedy because of your success. Now Microsoft is starting to bring your audience back from your console from the previous gen with the PlayStation 4. And honestly, I have to give credit where credit is due. Microsoft is definitely doing the right thing here. And I'm also going to say this one more time too. I don't expect Microsoft to basically completely trash out Call of Duty on your platform, Jim Ryan, because of one, it would just hurt them in the long run, because then they ain't going to sell as many copies, and it's just not, it's going to also hurt, Activision and the company behind Call of Duty, whether if it's Infinity Ward or Treyarch. It's going to hurt their bottom line, because then they're not going to be able to sell as many copies as they want, so they're not going to get as many profits. And when they sell microtransactions too on the game, Microsoft is also going to get a cut of that pie. So, Jim Ryan, you really have nothing to freaking worry about. You're just being stupid, out of your mind, and crying because you're worried about losing exclusivity deal like you have with Call of Duty, like being able to get, DLCs first on your platform or whatever for a year or two, and that's just been a complete total mess. So now Microsoft is getting revenge on you, especially from that. And honestly, I would be mad if Call of Duty does not come on PlayStation anymore, but if Microsoft does what you did and gives us, future content within 6 months to a year early, and you get the content last, and Xbox and PC players get the first dibs on the DLC, I'm totally fine with that, So, in the long run, it's gonna, in the long run, it's gonna get payback and revenge on what you did, Jim Ryan, because this is just uncalled for. And you crying to Microsoft and crying to Phil Spencer because of this, all because you're worried about Call of Duty not coming on your platform anymore, which I highly doubt it because of how big that game is and all that. Like, it's a big, popular franchise that's meant to be multi-platform, and if Microsoft honestly doesn't do that, they're not going to get as much money from the sales, because it's not going to sell quite as much, and the developers ain't going to get as much money. So in the long run, it's a better business move. And honestly, Microsoft has showed us that they are about crossplay and that they are about, cross progression and all of that. Unlike you, Sony, that was against crossplay at the very beginning back in 2018. So, Jim Ryan, it's just time to, think better ways to entice your fan base in order to stay on PlayStation, or, get developers to make a new game like Call of Duty that will only be exclusive on your platform. Then you won't have to worry about nothing. And honestly, as many developers as you have that makes really great, first-party games, you could easily figure out a way to make a game like Call of Duty that will only be on your platform. So, but that pretty much does the video for today. That's a little bit of a long speech than I basically was expecting. But yeah, this whole whatever with Jim Ryan, crying about Call of Duty, like, he's got nothing to worry about, and two, he needs to stop crying. And honestly, he needs to think better ways to treat and respect his fan base instead of milking them dry from their piggy banks. So, this is Tech and Gaming Reviews. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you guys could smack that like button. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you are new to this channel. And be sure to leave us a comment down in the comment section down below of your thoughts with Jim Ryan going after, Microsoft's Phil Spencer with the whole Call of Duty, exclusivity and everything like that. And yeah, so yeah, just leave us your thoughts down in the comment section down below of Jim Ryan going after Phil Spencer about the whole Call of Duty Activision Acquisition Deal and whatnot. So, rate, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you guys on the next video. Peace out. We will see you later.